All right, welcome back. We are talking about hosting a foreign exchange student, and we have two experts here. You've hosted this, you help run a program from World Exchange, Yvonne Goodwin and Tom Goodwin.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so I always considered this. I think, you know, families who have fun with kids and enjoy having family life think about this, but how did you guys start down this path? Like, I want to be a host family. What was your, you know, step-by-step, how'd you consider it?
We saw an ad, a short ad in the newspaper, so we called. We were a little bit late. They didn't have any kids left. So they kept our number. They called us back the next year, and so we hosted that next year, and it was a great experience, pretty good. And they told us at the end of that year that the directors weren't going to be doing it anymore because they were in Columbus and Toledo was just too far. But they would continue the Columbus, and if they wanted to, if anybody wanted to continue in Toledo, that someone would need to be the directors. So we volunteered.
So you became not only host families, but you help place families. What was it that appealed to you about in the very beginning? What made you think, we definitely want to be a host for some kid that wants to visit this country for a while?
Well, I speak French, and I was a French exchange student in college. So, you know, when we saw the ad, he said, "Do you want to do this?" I'm like, 3 weeks? Sure.
And that's, I was going to say, you don't do, I mean, typically when I think of exchange students, and I know with my kids, there's always, even when I was growing up, there's always a year commitment or a school year commitment. It doesn't always have to be this long commitment. You've got the 3 weeks with World Exchange. Do they do other, or do they do varying lengths?
They do, this is the basic one that they do. I think they also have a short program in the spring where they take a group to New York City for 10 days, maybe 14 days. But this is their main thing that they do. And they place in Toledo and Columbus and California and Florida, in New York City and in Michigan. So it's kind of around the country.
What's a good host family? Like, you guys knew you wanted to do it. You'd had experience being an exchange student. What makes a good host family?
Well, I would say there is no set family that's a good host family. We have empty nesters that do it, that make wonderful, wonderful host families that, you know, they have their kid back year after year after year. And we have you know, families that have big families with teenagers that do it, and that's always great because, you know, teen interaction with another teen, it's awesome. And
we have some families who have small kids, and each French kid that comes over, we get a profile of them. So we can read through that, and some of these profiles will say, I would like to be in a home with another teenager. Some of them may say, they may not say that, but they may say that I have younger brothers and sisters, or I work at a summer camp. 1 year
So they know, look, I'm used to having a 2-year-old around, it doesn't faze me, kind of thing.
1 year we personally chose a girl who had worked at a summer camp because our kids were like 5, 6, and 7. And she got along great with him.
You knew it was going to be outdoor fun because it was going to be that time of year. And so I like that you have empty nesters too, that it's, you know, we used to have a house full of kids and now we have one at a time, but how do you get screened for this kind of thing? What's the screening process like for a family that's considering becoming a host?
well, people typically give me a call, and I kind of go into a phone conversation telling them about the program and what it entails. And they fill out an application and they provide references, and we check those and check the people out. We go into their home and walk through it, just to make sure it's a place we'd feel comfortable putting our own children. And what else?
That's pretty much
that's
the
it.
Yeah.
I mean, would we put our own kids there?
There couldn't be any higher standard than that. What about the longer term? Have you ever done a longer term exchange student? You know, the school year kind of thing?
We've never done it, although there have been families that have hosted through our program, and they say, okay, I think we could do a year-long program. Then they go on through another program because our program doesn't do a year-long.
It's a really nice way to get the idea, I would think.
To know if you can tolerate it.
Right, because this is a stranger, but you have to treat them as a family member. You want it to be natural and comfortable. They're living in your home. I would think a 3-week program is kind of the perfect test the waters situation.
It's fairly short, and it's long enough, though, to develop a good bond. And we tell the families to treat this person like you're visiting niece or nephew who you haven't seen in years. And you're going to show them around Toledo and show them some nice stuff in the neighborhood. We take them to Cedar Point. We also do another day trip that usually includes a Mud Hens game. So we show them some of the sites. and the rest of the time is the family can use it however they see fit. Some of the times the teenager just wants to go to the video store and rent movies that he or she has seen, and they want to watch them in English.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, most teenagers I know, we'd like to get the Xbox out and play.
And some of them do that. Right now we have one boy who listed that he's interested in some online gaming, and one of the families saw that and said, "That's our boy. We want him. We're interested in that."
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then sports. I saw another one, the kid plays soccer. So, I mean, a sports family, all right. You come. I will tell you, my younger son, when he was a junior in high school, they had a big football team, a great season, and one of the members of the football team was a German exchange student. And he would, they would say, family on three, and he'd be like, Familia, 1, 2, 3. And the kids got like the kick out of it. They loved it. He became, really a part of the team, but just made part of the season more fun.
It's amazing in 3 weeks how much that person can become a part of your family.
Yeah,
it's
and
really neat.
Now, how many times have you hosted kids?
The girls were counting the other day, and I think we have had 6 French girls at our house.
But
Oh my gosh.
we've had half stays where it didn't work out with the original family. There was a misunderstanding or something, and so we would take the student for like part of
the stay.
Yeah.
Well, then, so that is the question. What if you bring a kid into your house and for whatever reason they're just not fitting in, or it's not what you expected? That is, I think, what stops people from going forward with this. Like, I'd like to, but I'm afraid.
Well, and the first couple days are a little tense because you're not quite sure. Now, these days, though, we hand out the email addresses or the Facebooks. So usually the families are acquainted with themselves before the teenager pops in, so they know a lot about each other. So some of that awkward stuff might be over with, we hope. They come with an adult leader who is quite often a teacher who's on her or his break.
Oh, okay.
And so that teacher, we have a home for that teacher also. And we give that person a phone, and we're in contact with him or her. And that teacher has to contact these kids every couple of days to make sure everything's going okay. And if there's not, then that teacher and we get together and try to figure out what we can do.
How to fix it if
Right.
you
The
can fix
important
it.
thing, though, is if it's not working out, if your family's not having fun, the student's not having fun, and we really want to make sure they have a good time, and your family has a good time and a good experience, because we want you to come back and do it the following year.
What have you learned from your French visitors? I mean, I know they're here to learn about Cedar Point and glass blowing or whatever the different things that you're doing, but how has it changed your family to be a host? Because I think that's what you got to remember too. You get something out of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it makes you less ethnocentric, just not so, it makes you think more globally. It's a wonderful experience for the whole family because you just learn a whole different way of life. They have a slower way of life, they eat slower, they don't have as big of portions. It's just a really good experience, and we were invited by a family that we stayed with to come stay with them in Paris, and they've invited our daughters to come stay whenever they're ready to, by most of the kids that we've hosted. And we actually did go to Paris. Tom and I did. We took our second honeymoon. Actually, our first honeymoon, because we never took the first. But we went to Paris for 10 days and stayed with the family, and he took the whole time off and drove us all around and took us everywhere and showed us.
Do you feel like these are lifelong? For the most part, do most host families? Well, now we've got Facebook, like you said. There's ways to stay in touch. Do you feel like that's
There are some of them that do stay in touch for long periods of time. Other families we've hosted 6 girls, and so we don't stay in contact with each of them.
I do on Facebook.
She does, Tom.
I don't.
Get with it, for Pete's sake.
He's not a Facebooker.
He's Amish. That's what we say. My husband, we're sick of your Amish ways, Dad. Get on Facebook. Well, if we're interested. Right now, I know in the Toledo area you have, maybe half a dozen, maybe 7 placements. So you can always participate. There's let's talk, the website is worldexchange.org. Worldexchange.org is the website, and if you're seeing this and thinking, maybe this summer, maybe next, start the process, do a little investigation. I looked at the website a little bit, and it just had a ton of information about kind of putting your toe in the water on this thing. What about a year? Would you consider a year after all you've done?
Yeah, in fact, we work cooperatively with a woman who places for the school year. So sometimes when we have a family that had a really great experience and they're ready for a year-long student, we send them to her. And she does the same for us, for a family that's not quite ready for a year or half a year. She'll like say, well, why don't you just try it out? I know someone that does that. So
Wonderful. All right. So again, worldexchange.org if you're interested in putting your foot in the water here with being a host family. All right. Thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to make this. We're going to make a dessert that every exchange student would go, "What is that?" Right? An American flag. Looks like America. Tastes like America. Does it work? It's a pin test. We'll be right back.